morning, everybody. Welcome.
You are good, you are good, you are good, and there's nothing good in me. You are love on display for all to see. You are light when the darkness closes in. You are hope, you have covered all my sin. You are peace, you are peace, you are peace when my fear is crippling. You are true, even in my wandering. You are joy, you're the reason that I sing. You are life, in you death has lost its stings. Oh, I'm running. I'm running to your arms, I'm running to your arms. The riches of your love will always be enough. Nothing compares to your embrace. Light of the world, forever reign. You are more than my words could ever say. You are Lord, all creation will proclaim. You are here, in your presence I'm made whole. You are God, of all else I'm letting go. And on I'm running, and so I'm running to your arms, I'm running to your arms. The riches of your love will always be enough. Nothing compares to your embrace. Light of the world, forever reign. I'm running to your arms, I'm running to your arms. The riches of your love will always be enough. Nothing compares to your embrace. Light of the world, forever reign. Let's sing that third verse again. You are more than my words will ever say. You are Lord, all creation will proclaim. You are here, in your presence I'm made whole. You are God, of all else I'm letting go. I'm running to your arms, I'm running to your arms. The riches of your love will always be enough. Nothing compares to your embrace. Light of the world, forever reign. I'm running to your arms, I'm running to your arms. The riches of your love will always be enough. Nothing compares to your embrace. Light of the world, forever reign. Nothing compares to your embrace. Oh, light of the world, forever reign. Light of the world, forever reign. Yes. Light of the world, forever reign. You're the King. This is your kingdom. Jesus, come. You're the Father. This is your home. Abba, come. If home is where the heart is, come and dwell, come and dwell. I will open up to you. You're welcome in this place. You're welcome in this place. Come and have your way in us. You're welcome. You're welcome in this place. You're welcome in this place. Come and have your way in us. You're welcome. You're the Spirit. You're the Spirit. We're flesh and bone. Breathe on us. Without your presence, we are nothing more. Fill us up. If home is where the heart is, come and dwell, come and dwell. I will open up to you. If home is where the heart is, come and dwell, come and dwell. I will open up to you, Lord. You're welcome in this place. You're welcome in this place. Come and have your way in us. You're welcome, Lord. You're welcome in this place. You're welcome in this place. Come and have your way in us. You're welcome. Come and have your way in us. You're welcome. Now that you are here, we have everything we need. Now that you are here, now that you are here, we have everything we need. Now that you are here, because you are here, Lord. Because you are here, we have everything we need. Because you are here, Lord. Yes, you are. Because you are here, we have everything we need. Because you are here, Jesus. Home, if home is where the heart is, come and dwell, come and dwell. I will open up to you. If home is where the heart is, come and dwell, come and dwell. I will open up to you, Lord. You're welcome in this place. You're welcome in this place. Come and have your way in us. You're welcome. You're welcome in this place. You're welcome in this place. Come and have your way in us. You're welcome. Come and have your way in us. You're welcome. Come and have your way in us. You're welcome. You're welcome to do what you want to do.
I just had this thought as we were singing that. We've probably said this before, but that welcoming him in to your heart, to your home, to wherever space that you're in, is such a beautiful thing now and in every moment of every day, because He's there with you. Regardless of where you are or the circumstance, He's there. But recognizing and seeing it and welcoming Him. I just had this picture of you as you're sitting at home with your family or by yourself or friends or whatever it is, of that beautiful picture and thought of just welcoming Him as He is there with you.
We welcome Him. Amen.
Pull me in closer, close to your heart. May I be a pure reflection of all you are. Love that is patient, love that is kind, a love that keeps no offenses or wrongs in mind. Make me like Jesus, make me like Jesus. My heart is an open space for you to come and have your way. I'm open, I'm open. My heart is an open space for you to come and have your way. I'm open, I'm open. You're faithful to find me right where I am, and even in my wandering, you call me friend. And mercy receives me and lifts me to my feet, and I'm caught up in the wonder and mystery of knowing Jesus, of knowing Jesus. My heart is an open space for you to come and have your way. I'm open, I'm open. My heart is an open space for you to come and have your way. I'm open, I'm open. Do whatever you wanna do. Say whatever you wanna say. Move however you wanna move. Change whatever you wanna change. Do whatever you wanna do. Say whatever you wanna say. And move however you wanna move. Change however you wanna change. Do whatever you wanna do. Say whatever you wanna say. Move however you wanna move. Please change
Hey, good morning, Alongsiders and friends. Greg here. Great to be with you again this morning. I get the opportunity of sharing in the reflection with you today. But before I do so, anybody remember this fine game? Simon. Hey, in the thread, let me know if you used to play this game, like I did. Anyway, Simon was actually released in 1978 by Milton Bradley, and actually was released with a huge amount of fanfare. Actually, this game specifically was released 12 midnight at a very elite disco club in New York City known as Studio 54. It became an instant success, and the game really reached its peak in the 1980s. 80s kid over here. And continued to sell for decades, even to this day. And it's basically pretty simple. Just the idea of it is that what you do is you kind of just follow along. All right. Now, obviously, today, this probably won't be like any other video game, but in the 80s, it was something that you did, like I did, for several hours at a time. But the inventor of this was a guy named Ralph Baer. He was actually best known for developing the first video game system. And in 1975, Baer started an independent consulting business and began to work in association with Marvin Glass and Associates in Chicago. They were the toy design firm responsible for some of the most successful American toys of the 20th century. Now, Baer's job was to develop electronic toys and games, and this was the best known result of that partnership. And Simon is named for the children's game Simon Says, and it was actually inspired, funny enough, by an Atari arcade game called Touch Me. Kind of a very uncomfortable name, but Baer and Howard Morrison, a partner of Marvin Glass, first saw the Atari game Touch Me at a trade show in 1976. They both agreed while the execution of the arcade game was horrible, the game itself, trying to repeat a musical sequence the machine created, was actually worth exploring, and their exploration ended up creating Simon the electronic game. Now this, as I said, was high-tech in the 80s, colored lights with sound and whatnot, and I can remember, even to this day, sitting with this on my lap and playing it. But this morning's reflection comes to you because the summer interns, number one, wanted me to go ahead and focus on this particular story. But number two, it is actually one of my favorite stories from Luke's Gospel, and one I come back to frequently. And finally, it's actually a story about a man named Simon, as well as obviously Jesus, an unnamed woman, and a crowd of people. It's found in Luke chapter 7. If you have a Bible with you, you can go ahead and open up there. But it reads like this. When one of the Pharisees invited Jesus to have dinner with him, he went to the Pharisee's house and reclined at the table. And a woman in that town who had lived a sinful life learned that Jesus was eating at the Pharisee's house, so she came there with an alabaster jar of perfume. And as she stood behind him at his feet weeping, she began to wet his feet with her tears, and then she wiped them with her hair, kissed them, and poured perfume on them. And when the Pharisee who invited him saw this, he said to himself, if this man were a prophet, he would know who is touching him and what kind of woman she is, that she is a sinner. Now we learn that this Pharisee is a man named Simon, a conservative, religious influencer and leader of the Jewish community. And Luke writes that Simon invites Jesus for dinner, and Jesus shows up and he reclines at the table with others. Now, in light of Jesus' growing influence, this wasn't your normal dinner party. In fact, the only meals at which people reclined were actually formal banquets that have precisely dictated traditional roles of guest as well as host. And the gates and the doors of this banquet were normally left open, allowing others to enter to listen into the dialogue of those around this reclined table. As a guest, especially as a rabbi or a notable person of the day, you would be greeted with a kiss and a much fanfare, and the guests would recline on these low couches around the table in order of rank, leaning on their left elbow with their feet turned away from the table. And they would have removed their sandals when they have entered the door. And the servants at the door would have poured large basins of water over the dusty feet of those rabbis or others that were sitting around the table and would have wiped them clean. And in verse 37, it says, a woman in that town who lived a sinful life learned that Jesus was eating at this Simon's house, and so she came there with an alabaster jar of perfume. This unknown woman comes with a sinful reputation and shows up with this jar of perfume. And some suggest that this perfume is actually connected to her reputation or her sinful life in the town. Her life where she and men would exchange money for certain services. And so Jesus didn't seem to deny this reputation about this woman. And we don't know what actually happened in this woman's life for this to become her reputation at this time. But it does remind us that our choices, whatever they are in life, can actually determine our direction. And sometimes maybe it's not even our choices, maybe it's our environment, maybe it's our family systems or histories, maybe it's even our zip codes. And I know what it's like to come to Jesus with a history of choices. I know what it's like to want and hope and pray that your children choose life wisely and simultaneously feel concerned if they put their foot on a path you know can end up being painful for them. In one sense, I think it's true that we all carry an alabaster jar, a jar of reputation, a jar of bad choices, a jar of wayward decisions, a jar of missed opportunities, maybe even a jar that's unseen to most and yet is something that you know intimately. For some of us, the jar may be half full or almost full, and for others, maybe there's only a few drops in there because life is still young. But this woman, she comes with what she has. She comes with her whole self and with this jar of perfume. She comes with clear intention and desire. She seems unconcerned about whose house it is or how she may be viewed by those there or what people will say about her. She comes with this singular objective. It's like she's compelled, she's commissioned, she's without caution. It says that she stands behind Jesus at his feet weeping, and she began to wet his feet with her tears, and then she wiped them with her hair, kissed them, and poured perfume on them. Her presence begins to disrupt. It shifts the focus from whatever conversations were being had around the table directly toward her. And her nonverbal but yet highly physical and visible language is communicating and taking over the room. She cuts through this cultural and religious absolutism as she lets down her hair, which is not normal, and she begins to use her hair as a paintbrush. It's this intimate and tender gesture, and then we begin to read that she is weeping as she does this. She is groaning. Her whole physical person is on display. And then it says that she unbottles her jar, and she begins to pour out her past and her present on the ground. Pouring out her past and her present reputations, pouring out her past and present choices right on the feet of Jesus. This foolish and yet dramatic display of worshiping love is a declaration of a liberating forgiveness that she's experienced. It's a declaration of a deep dignity that somehow she's received by the one that is before her. And it's when I read this, I see no ego, I see no performance, there's no narcissism. All there is just broken truth. Her love is heard as she weeps and kisses the feet of Jesus. The perfume smell that's now uncorked begins to hit everybody in the room, making this all the more sensory, all the more communal, all the more deliberate, all the more invasive, all the more uncomfortable, and all the more sacred. So the question is, what is your alabaster jar? What is the contents of your alabaster jar? What is my alabaster jar? What are the contents? And it's only when the jar is broken open that the smell of the perfume or the smell of the content is released. And for this unnamed woman of reputation, she broke open not only a jar of perfume, but her very life. And the confidence and the courage that it takes to let her life break open in mixed company like that, as well as the trust and belief that Jesus welcomes her whole life and protects, it seems, her vulnerability with grace and strength in that mixed company. It is one of the most messy and intrusive, devoted and desperate, grateful and honest scenes. She comes with her complete self, bringing her past and present choices wrapped up in one single jar that is now all over the floor, pulling up, and we can hear her ache as she weeps, and we can see her visible communication as she's using her hair like a paintbrush and just kissing and cleaning the feet of the one that has liberated her. I'm reminded of what the psalmist declares, David declares in Psalm 51, that says, as he says this to God, the sacrifice you desire is a broken spirit. You will not reject a broken and repentant heart. You will not reject who I am. You will not reject where I've come from. You will not reject the contents of my jar, of my life. As you guys know, each and every week we try to offer just a moment where you guys can just pause and reflect on your own life. And so I'm going to invite you into a 5-minute engagement. And it's within this 5-minute engagement, I'm just going to invite you to consider these 2 questions. Based on everything you've just heard, what is your alabaster jar? And what are the contents within that jar? What is your alabaster jar? What is it that you still carry around? And what are the contents within that jar? And obviously, this is a metaphor, this is an analogy, this is image. But what are the contents of that jar? What are the contents that only you know about? What does the jar represent? What does it say? What point of history does the jar take you to? So for the next 5 minutes, just take some time and think about this thing. Allow whatever God brings up. Don't be embarrassed of it. Don't be scared of it. Don't feel guilty or shame over it. Just acknowledge it and hold it. And if you feel comfortable with those around you, allow it to be just a sort of collective confession of sorts about what is your jar and what are the contents of that jar. Go ahead.
trust again. Trust again. Trust again. Somebody here is searching. Somebody's dreams were stolen. Somebody's arms are reaching. Somebody needs to hold them for love to come. Choose to trust again. Trust again. Don't know where you come from. I don't know where you're going. I only know the healing starts when we all stop running for love to come. Unlock every door. It takes you and me to open up once more and choose to trust again. Trust again. Trust again. Oh, and I got peace in the waiting, joy even in the pain. Trust in the hand of my Father.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Hopefully that was a meaningful moment for you to process yourself in that way. I love that psalm. God does not reject the broken heart, the heart that wants to see the change or is walking in the change. For Simon, he's watching this. He's watching all of what's transpiring. He's watching, he's listening, he's seeing all of this. He's noticing every bit of this. In actuality, I think it's extremely unsettling for him. It's unordered, it's unwanted, it's maybe even unwarranted in his perspective. And Simon says to himself, the scripture in Luke writes this, that Simon says to himself, if this man, Jesus, were a prophet, he would know who is touching him and what kind of woman she is, that she is a sinner. Now, we all have a little Simon in us, don't we? I mean, if we're honest, we all carry a little Simon in us. We all have played Simon Says, said things underneath our breath, said things about others in our hearts or minds, said things out loud even, things that are dismissive, things that label, things that box someone else up due to their momentary action, an assumed reputation, maybe even their social media post. We all have a little Simon in us, just as much as we all probably have an alabaster jar in our life with contents that we need to pour out and entrust them to the one that loves us and sees us. We all carry and walk with a little Simon as well in us. Jesus notices Simon. Jesus is like watching Simon. And then Jesus calls out Simon. And he does it in a way that's Jesus-like. He uses a short story of debt and forgiveness. Now, I'm going to focus on that a little bit next week, so I'll come back to that. But Simon is obviously stirred. Simon is obviously shaken. Howard Thurman, who many of you may know, and maybe some of you do not know, he was one of the greatest preachers of the 20th century. He actually served as a spiritual advisor to many in the civil rights movement. And he actually made this comment, and it was not only a comment, he actually practiced this in his own life in those moments where he was struggling for equality. He said this: go within before venturing out. Go within before venturing out. Listen to one's struggle inside your life, in your inner life, before you begin to be active in the struggle of others. If we are able to go within and abide with what we find difficult or dislike, we are less likely to react impulsively when we venture out, and more likely to respond compassionately when we venture out. When we are being stirred and shaken, like Simon was obviously stirred and shaken, we need to open the windows and ventilate our inner room, our inner lives with a fresh air by pausing, by breathing, by taking a walk, by logging off the computer or setting down the phone. We have to somehow breathe. We have to catch our inner judgments, our angsts, our projections, our labels, our disgust. We have to acknowledge that they're there. And we do that by, once again, opening up the inner window and allowing there to be, let the Spirit of God begin to bring to the surface so that we can see them when they're being mumbled under our breath, or when we are tweeting them or typing them out or emailing them or texting them or whatever we might be doing. We've got to acknowledge them before they venture out of us, because it's a lot better if we acknowledge them inside before they venture outside. This allows us to ask ourselves, why do we feel this way? Why this judgment? Why do we feel like the need to diminish this person or that person? Why am I so reactive? Or why am I closed off or indifferent or hostile? Or why is this conversation with this person or me reading this thread, why is this bringing this out of me? Acknowledging that and seeing that. That is what Howard Thurman offers us. And he is a man of tremendous strength, a man of tremendous character, tremendous dignity, that he said in his day, and I think it's something we should still listen to in our day: go within before venturing out. Go within before venturing out. For Simon, he watched and he struggled with what he watched. As I said, he was stirred and shaken as he watched what he did. And then it was under his breath, he began to just say, man, if this guy, if he was truly the rabbi or the prophet that he and others say he is, he would understand what kind of woman she is. Simon, has just diminished the whole of this woman based on these moments, these actions, as well as this reputation. He knows nothing about her life, nothing about her story, nothing of how she came to find herself in what she is doing today. Nothing of the challenge, the difficulty, the probable shame, just the marginalization, the use and abuse that she's experienced. All he does is simply speak under his breath about her. Look at that. And the truth of the matter is, as I said, we all have a little Simon in us. And we have to acknowledge the fact that that is true. But here's what we don't want to do. We don't want to begin to play Simon Says, meaning we don't want to follow along. We don't want to be Simon. And to be honest with you, as people that follow in the way of Jesus, gosh, more than ever, we need to be people marked with love. There needs to be more of a practice of going in before we venture out. Because sometimes we only see part of the picture. And we have to acknowledge that that's true. And I think that's a loving thing to do. I mean, we say it all the time, we quote it all the time, and we probably heard others say it, that given what's happening in the world, in Portland, and maybe in your own life, it's sometimes quicker to listen than just to go ahead and speak. Because sometimes in our speaking, it's really not a response maybe as much as it's a reaction. And so Simon was a game in the 80s that I used to play. And probably to some degree, the game Simon is still being played today. Not through touching colors, but some probably not watching. Not watching what we're saying underneath our breath. So today we're going to go to the Eucharist as we always do each and every week. And this is the time where we get to come and remember the goodness of and the life of Jesus. And as you go to the table, as you gather the elements in whatever way that you're doing today, I would just invite you to look at your life. Maybe open up your hands, just like this. And in one sense, look at this life through the lens of this unnamed woman, the jar that we all have, the contents in our jar, and that we come to Jesus with that jar and the contents. And on the other hand, we come as Simons. We come with acknowledging the fact that we said things under our breath, that we've labeled and boxed people in, that we've made really drastic statements or over-opinionated ourselves. And so come with this paradox of what it means to be human. The need to trust that Jesus will welcome the contents of our alabaster lives and trust that he would help us in the moments where we are Simons. Enjoy the table, enjoy the song, and much love to each and every one of you. God bless.
I need you more than yesterday. I need you more than words can say. I need you more than ever before. I need you, Lord. I need you, Lord. I need you more than yesterday. I need you more than words can say. I need you more than ever before. I need you, Lord. I need you, Lord. More than the air I breathe, more than the song I sing, more than the next heartbeat, more than anything, more than the air I breathe, more than the song I sing, more than anything, more than the next heartbeat, more than anything, more than the air I breathe, more than the song I sing, more than the next heartbeat, more than anything, I need you more. More than yesterday, I need you more. More than words can say, I need you more than ever before. I need you, Lord. I need you, Lord. I need you, Lord. I need you, Lord.
Hey everybody, thanks again for joining in with us this morning. It's always great to be with you, even if it's on an online format. It's still good to be together. Hey, as a reminder, at 11:30, jump over to the Facebook page, Alongsiders community page, because it's there that we're going to have an all Alongsiders check-in moment where we're going to talk about where we're at as a community. We're going to somehow respond to the questions that you may have. Join me, Pastor Camilla, a couple of council members, 11:30, Alongsiders community page on Facebook. All right? Much love to you guys, and hope to see you over there in just a few minutes. Bye-bye.
I have seen what love looks like, brighter than the morning light, tender as the sweetest sound. You can turn the tables upside down. Oh Lord, because of what I've done, my list of sin and shame, I don't deserve your heart, but still you love me completely. So much you gave your life, you offered it freely, a relentless sacrifice, and I see stars in your hands and feet. Don't crown you all for me, forgiveness in your eyes. This is what love looks like. You are real to me, more than this ground beneath my feet. You are life to me, more than the very air I breathe. I love you. It's simple to say, but I love you more every day. You see my heart and you know that it's true. I love you. I love you. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. You are good to me, still even better than I think. You are strong for me, for every time that I can't be. I love you. It's simple to say, but I love you more every day. You see my heart and you know that it's true. I love you. I love you. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I have seen you as a healer right before my very eyes. I found in you a father, nothing missing from your side. I've known you as my savior, you brought me back to life. How I love you. Yes, I do. How I love you. Yes, I do. I love you. It's simple to say, but I love you more every day. You see my heart and you know that it's true. I love you. I love you. Yes, I do. 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 Yes, I do. Hello, maker of the moon. Your creation has inspired my every move. You're the science in the stars. There is beauty, there is fire in your eyes. Here we are, face to face, lost in wonder at the God of time and space. The universe declares your praise, singing holy, holy is your Hello, tamer of the tides. Every day you're moving deeper I can feel your heartbeat beating. I can hear my God is speaking. King of creation, breathe upon me. You can feel my heartbeat beating. You can hear my spirit screaming. King of creation, you amaze me. I can feel your heartbeat beating. I can hear my God is speaking. King of creation, breathe upon me. You can feel my heartbeat beating. You can hear my spirit screaming. King of creation, you amaze me. Oh, I can feel your heartbeat beating. I can hear my God is speaking. King of creation, breathe upon me. You can feel my heartbeat beating. You can hear my spirit screaming. King of creation, you amaze me. Here we are, face to face, lost in wonder at the God of time and space. The universe declares your praise, singing holy, holy is your name. Here we are, face to face, lost in wonder at the God of time and space. Universe declares your praise, singing holy, holy is your name. Hello, maker of the moon.